everyone. Happy New Year. It's for our first session of Ask Dr. Christina. Oh, and today I'm just going to take off these people. I want to welcome you to a new year, a new you, and this time for real. Um, I find that so many people have health goals and habits that they want to implement into their daily lives. And usually, when you start slacking them slowly, one tiny habit at a time, at the end of a period of time, you've created a lot of change in your life. You've reaped a lot of benefits from those little healthy habits. So, today, I really want to talk about really beginner small steps that you can do to help your body change, to make real impact on how you're feeling and how your health is by just a few minutes a day with just a few thoughts. So, a little bit about me for those of you who don't know me and you're new here. I've been a chiropractor for over 25 years. I've been practicing functional medicine for about 10, and I've been working in the community with families and moms in my pediatric specialty and chiropractic for a long time. I'm very passionate about it, and I love doing these kinds of talks so I can share information with more and more people, and you can share some of these things with your loved ones so that we create an epidemic of healing that our communities desperately are looking for. I've got advanced training in functional pediatrics, reversing cognitive decline, and I'm certified in the Bredesen protocol as well as Dr. Terry Walls's practitioner protocol for reversing MS and other autoimmune conditions. I love the way diet and lifestyle can have a tremendous and radical impact on people's chronic health conditions. And today I just want to share with you some of the really easy steps I start people on even before they start working with a practitioner when they're just trying to take control of their health and they just want to take a little tiny step into feeling better. So, today, to transform yourself in 2026, we're going to talk about upgrading your morning routine, small tweaks that can lessen your stress in the morning and make your morning a great way to start the day, optimizing hydration for headache free days, a drug free way to battle anxiety and depression, discovering a calmer, more balanced life. I'm going to talk to you about really simple steps to help with tummy aches and bloating. This is one of my specialties in my functional medicine practice. I see hundreds of patients in my clinic, and I talk to many people outside my clinic, and tummy aches and bloating seem to be a huge problem. So I'll give you some really quick and easy steps to start adding into your life uh, and avoiding chronic health conditions in total. And then getting rid of your mood swings once and for all. So these are some of the things that I see the most in my practice. And these are some of the diet and lifestyle changes that I find are most effective with people in my community in truly transforming their health in ways that they can't imagine because it's so simple. So, starting your day with gratitude. And so many of us, buy gratitude journals. We've talked about being grateful, but did you know that the research shows that it can decrease chronic pain? So, for my chronic pain sufferers with fibromyalgia and MS, starting the day with gratitude creates an anti inflammatory cascade of biochemicals, which actually can make you feel better. And there's some really good research on this. It will decrease your perceived stress and anxiety. The funny thing about our brain is it's super powerful. But what it can't distinguish between is a real threat like freezing cold or running away from some dangerous animal and a perceived threat like stress about your work and stress about a child or a loved one, stress about your own health. So those perceived stressors can create inflammatory cascade of particles in your body. And so we're going to start the day with gratitude because it helps decrease that perceived stress and anxiety. It's also been shown in research studies to increase brain function. They've actually shown this to be the case, as well as boost energy and improve sleep later in the day. So, what does this look like? And I often tell people, one of the things, which really easy way to start is when you wake up first thing in the morning and before you go to bed. These are two really easy times to take 30 seconds to think about one thing you're grateful for. So for those of you with families and loved ones and partners, it could be that you're just, grateful for having that person in your life. I'm often can be heard writing and saying that I'm grateful for having my kids. I love being a mom. Well, with all its ups and downs, I'm very grateful. For some of you who are struggling with chronic healthcare conditions, perhaps just being able to go for a walk pain free would be something you're grateful for. Um, Perhaps just having enough money to buy the food that you need to help your body heal. But just one thing you're grateful for, really simple, really easy. Um, and everyone has time for that thing. And what it does is, like I said, it decreases anxiety and stress. For my patients who have a hard time sleeping because they are ruminating about things through the day, I ask them to actually write down the one thing they're grateful for in a journal. It doesn't have to be a structured journal, it can just be a piece of paper in some sort of binder where you just write the one thing you're grateful on and think about how you feel and what feelings you have when you think about that thing. So when I think about my kids, I get a warm, kind of loving feeling. That feeling is the feeling you want to hold on to, and that feeling is the thing that starts that chain of chemical reactions that is anti-inflammatory, and can be healing to your body. Second thing that I love to do is upgrade your morning routine. So many people run around like a crazy person in the morning. They get up too late, they hit the snooze, perhaps because they didn't have a good sleep the night before, or they didn't go to bed early enough, and they're late before they've even gotten out the door. So their stress levels are already high. And our cortisol, which is our stress hormone, is already at its highest peak a couple hours after we wake up. So if you're waking up and running around like a bat out of hell because you're not organized, or maybe you have a loved one or a child who has a hard time waking up, and maybe you have a lot of things to do in the morning, like lunches and thinking about dinner and, getting all everyone together to get out the door. So what I started doing a long time ago, which really upgraded my morning routine, was not only getting up early, but I started making myself like a special coffee that has reishi mushroom spore in it that really helps modulate stress. Reishi mushroom spore has been shown to help modulate nervous system stress, help modulate the immune system. And so I don't ever start my morning without a King coffee from Organo. It's one of the only things that I have almost every patient who drinks coffee in my practice try and switch out for 30 days is start with this coffee first thing in the morning if you drink coffee, and see if it helps change how you're feeling. The King coffee from Organo is my favorite. It's certified organic Arabica bean, but it contains the reishi mushroom spore called Gamma derma lucidum, which has been used for thousands of years for immune system benefits. It has antioxidants, and it also has adaptogenic qualities to really help you modulate your ability and your resilience to stress. So, caffeinating the right way in the morning, if caffeine is something that works for you, and it is like a 50-50 for people. Some people do really well with it, and some people don't do really well. And that's really, again, on you. If you are drinking coffee in the morning, try and make it a super coffee. Try and make it, sometimes I put lion's mane mushroom in there along with it and some MCT oil for some brain fuel. And then I've really started my day really quietly. I get up a half an hour early. For those of you who like to sleep to the last minute, you're just creating so much more stress. When you get used to getting up a half an hour before you really need to, your day starts with ease. You can reflect on what you have to get done for the day, and you're not starting off late already. So if you are a coffee drinker, King Coffee, it's amazing. You can get it in the clinic. You can order it online. It's not sold in stores or on Amazon. If it's on Amazon, it's probably counterfeit, but it is one of my favorite ways to start the morning for the last like 6 or 7 years. Water droplets. So peaceful to look at that. Did you know that headaches can be caused by dehydration? We are living in a world of go, go, go. Our kids are living in a world of go, go, go. And oftentimes, I would say 50% of my patients are not hydrated. And so anything from constipation, which is really common when you don't have enough hydration, to headaches, constantly batting headaches, and also just being tired in the middle of the day can come from not being hydrated enough. So, headache-free hydration. Most people, this kind of quote I always tell people, and I think they always find it interesting. And did you know that most people don't notice when they're thirsty? When you're thirsty, you've waited too long. Um, but it's a key for your mood and for healthy bowel movements and detoxification. So if you're constantly having headaches or mood or energy issues, it's usually diet or hydration. So one of the best things to do is make sure you have water. I love to sprinkle in herbal teas with lemon and sometimes a little bit of honey that has some bee propolis and like bee pollen and royal jelly just for like a little superfood effect. But it's quite common for patients to come into my office to be hydrated or actually to know that you're not drinking enough. And that doesn't mean a whole bunch of coffee. As much as you like coffee, it means hydrating with water, electrolytes. If you're the kind of person that hydrates and drinks all the time and you still feel thirsty, you may have an absorption issue. So you may want to sprinkle some Celtic sea salt, something that has some minerals, or some electrolytes. My favorite brands are LMNT and Redmond Relight into your water, or like I said, some teas that you can steep and you can cool them down, and you can put some lemon, you can put a little honey, and drink those. And don't chug. Oftentimes, if we chug, it gives our bodies a signal that there's too much liquid, and we will pee it right out. So if you've been trying to increase your hydration, and you find yourself running to the bathroom all the time, that doesn't actually last for too long. It usually takes about a week to acclimatize, but try not chugging your water and thinking, okay, I got to get this down because I didn't drink today. Try and prioritize getting a drink in the morning, a little bit in the mid-afternoon, and making sure, especially if you're in an environment now that's not very hot, we don't tend to think to drink enough, but make sure you are getting enough fluid. And we say when you're trying to optimally detoxify, or if you are having headaches or you are having bowel movement issues and you're constipated, trying to drink half your body um, weight in mils. So if you're 200 pounds, that's, let's put it a different way. If you are 140 pounds, that's 70 ounces of um, any kind of liquid, not including dehydrating liquids like coffee. So if you drink coffee, you have to drink a little bit more water to balance it out. But it is tremendously revealing to patients when they just start drinking a little bit more. I say, like, okay, this week, it's 1 week. You don't have to do anything else. Just add a little bit more liquid to your diet. And oftentimes, bowels do move better. And we do have much less headaches and much better energy at the end of the day. So give that one a try. Okay, now we're going to stop in the middle of the webinar and take a breath. Best drug-free way to battle anxiety is through breath work. There's been a resurgence of information about breath work in the last decade, which is so exciting for me. Um, but if you're tired of feeling panicked and anxious and worried and reactionary with your kids or your spouse or your loved ones, if you want to fix that fear and anxiety and panic in less than 5 minutes, you can really very easily stop and do some breath work in the moment. I'll give you an example. Sometimes I have to go from a very intense functional medicine patient appointment to treating like 6 patients in the chiropractic. And I have to eat in between. And I don't feel anxious about it, but I feel rushed sometimes because I love to see as many people as I can because I want to help as many people as I can. So what I will do is I will take 2 minutes and I will do a little bit of breath work. And breath work has been shown to improve symptoms of anxiety and depression and trauma, addiction, inattention. So lots of things. When you have a common pattern of dealing with a loved one, maybe it's a kid, maybe it's your boss, taking a moment to not react and just take a couple of deep breaths really changes your response. It really changes your nervous system response and how you feel, and you actually end up making a much better decision. So we're going to try box breathing. This is one of my favorite, easiest ways. There's so many different breathwork apps out there. There are breathwork classes you can go to. You can look up breathwork online and you can get a ton of videos. I start patients off with this one. This one you can literally start this afternoon. I don't know, when you're sitting in traffic and you have to be somewhere and no one is moving, like maybe here today in Toronto because there's a little bit of snow. You're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4. Super easy. We know these things. Most of my patients know all these things. Yes, I need to drink more. Yes, I need to have a good start to my morning. Of course, I need to stop and breathe. But if you start implementing it for a couple of weeks, you start to see that in those moments of transition between getting somewhere or being anxious about something, thinking about something that's upsetting you, and just taking a moment to close your eyes and do the breath work again. 4 breaths in, hold to the count of 4, breathe out to the count of 4, and hold to the count of 4. Super simple, extremely transformative. I've had patients do this and find that they're having a much better time with their kids. Some of them have a much better time of transitioning from meeting to meeting when they feel like they have deadlines. So Breathing is a super easy tool, and it really puts you into that parasympathetic part of your nervous system where not only you can heal, but you can also think straight. So, like I was saying earlier, constipation, bloating, irritable bowel, these are things that I would say 70% of my patients experience. Sometimes they accept it to be true. I've always been constipated, so it's not an issue, which obviously is not true. Um, or that's what they come in with. They have Crohn's, they have IBD, they've got reflux, some sort of digestive issue. And the first place we start, even before we look at the results of testing, before any supplementation, is how many times are you chewing your food? Are you sitting rushed in the car? I love this llama. He's so funny, but it really makes me giggle and think, how much do we really chew our food? Tummy aches and bloating can really start. It can be caused by a number of things, an H. pylori infection, low stomach acid, bacterial overgrowth. But if we don't start at the top of the digestive train and digestive tract and start chewing our food, and I've seen anywhere between 20 and 40 chews. No one's chewing a raspberry 40 times. Let's be honest. You want to chew it till it's liquid. You want to chew it so that it gets around your tongue so your body knows, oh, this is protein. This person's eating meat. I have to release enzymes, proteases to break down protein. It's not only that you don't have teeth anywhere else in your body. So you've got these big particles now going down, irritating your gut because your body can't absorb these huge chunks. But you can also, um, your body can't tell what kind of enzymes it needs to release if you are not chewing it enough to give the information, the feedback from your tongue and your taste buds up to your brain to release enzymes from your pancreas. So not chewing your food properly can cause bloating, gas, constipation, headaches, and even low energy. I actually have one patient who's a teenage boy who every time he eats, he's sleepy. It doesn't matter if he's eating clean, like salad and chicken or fruit, or if he is eating not clean. He's really tired afterwards. It's because he doesn't chew his food. So that's what we're working on right now. And I know it's going to make a difference, but it's a hard habit for some people to break. I used to be a very fast eater. I still have to remind myself to chew, but it's a fundamental first step in digestion. So all the digestive enzymes and stomach acid and reflux medication and SIBO testing stuff that your practitioners, integrated practitioners give you, is not going to work if you're not chewing your food. So if you are not present when you are sitting down, if you are gulping down your food, if you have your kids in the back taking them to, football or hockey or any kind of sports practice and they are not chewing their food in the back, they are going to not only absorb the nutrients well, but they are going to have some digestive distress. So chewing. So start today. Your last meal of the day, if that's a dinner where you're at, if it's lunch, however you're eating, try and really be conscious of chewing your food, smelling your food, and being present for the 10 minutes. It makes a huge difference. I have had patients who have had chronic bloating for a decade, and when they start chewing their food, they're like, I don't feel as bloated. I'm like, yes, because you have broken it down into the pieces it needs to be so your body can start absorbing it. So, tummy aches and bloating, chewing is the first step. So, start with the chewing. Okay, so narrow feeding windows. This is a really important concept that's been talked about. I want to say the last decade is intermittent fasting. Fasting. There's all kinds of variations to it. Fasting mimicking diets. First of all, mindless eating when you're just eating because it's that time of day or there's food in front of you is going to lead you to consume food and over time not only lead to obesity but other chronic health conditions that are linked to excess calories. You're also not looking at what you're eating. But when we narrow the feeding window for fasting, we want to make kind of some important things. First of all, the importance of fasting. So when we are fasting, we're giving our digestive system a break from digesting. So if you are eating all the time, the energy has to go to your stomach and your intestines, and we have to really work on breaking down um, the food and extracting the nutrients and then excreting everything. And it takes away from other vital processes in your life. So when we talk about a narrow feeding window, we're really talking about stopping your dinner at a certain time, whatever that is. Let's say it's 7 p.m. With our patients who are having brain fog and gut issues, we try and have them not eat any, as long as their blood sugar is regulated, we try and not have them eat anything 3 hours before they go to bed so they're fully digested, so their body can go about the process of detoxifying and repairing other tissues, and autophagy, which is clearing out the dead tissues and all the garbage in there overnight. And then in the morning, let's say a typical intermittent fast or fast would be you finish eating at 7 and maybe you go 12 hours. So 12 hours would be 7 a.m. in the morning. So 12 hours is actually a good place to start. So for you that have been trying to do fasting and you're doing these 16-hour fasts and you feel crazy and you feel crappy, it's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is give yourself a 12-hour minimum break. Maybe it's 14 hours. Maybe you eat at 7 p.m. and you don't eat your first piece of food at 9 a.m. But maybe you have an herbal tea without any sweetener in it or something, some liquid in the morning to help flush the toxins out that you've detoxed at night. But fasting is so important for healing as well, especially if you have a digestive issue. If you give your body some space between eating, it allows it to heal, not only digest the food and get it out of there, but start to heal itself. So the one mistake people make often when they're doing intermittent fasting or some fasting mimicking is that they skip meals. So the idea is to have your meals within a narrow feeding window. So like a 8 hour or 10-hour window. So let's say you're eating from 9 to 7. That's a 10-hour window. And then you do a 14-hour fast. That's actually a pretty good, pretty reasonable one. Again, if you have blood sugar regulation issues, and you're insulin resistant, sometimes this really helps, but you want to do it slowly. You want to go from 12 hours of fasting to 14 hours. And within those 10 hours of feeding, you still want to get all of your vitamins and minerals. You don't want to skip too many meals or the middle meal, especially if you're trying to heal because you need amino acids and protein and different nutrients to heal your tissue. So, my patients, let's say that have chronic digestive issues, I try and get them to do a minimum of 12-hour fast and then make sure they're having their three meals, maybe two bigger ones and a smaller one in the middle within that 10 hours or 8 hours if we decide that works for someone. You also want to try and eat as organic as you can afford, and you want to eat your fiber first. So if you have some vegetables, you want to eat them first, then you want to eat your proteins and fats, and then your carbohydrates. And one of the things that I want you to also think about is, are you present when you're eating? You know, 30% of digestion takes place in the cephalic area. So, like just seeing the food and smelling the food, your brain starts the process of digestion. If you are not looking at the food or smelling the food, you're missing like quite a significant chunk of digestion, and that can impact how you take nutrients out of your food, and if you're bloated, and if you have bowel movements that are appropriate or not. So, don't eat mindlessly. And if you're thinking about doing fasting, go slow. My rule of thumb is intermittent fasting and fasting doesn't work for everybody. You'll know it's working for you if you feel really good when you're doing it. If you're underweight, I don't recommend intermittent fasting at all. I recommend trying to get those three meals in that are nutrient dense, and making sure there's enough protein and fats and fiber within them. Oh, getting proper rest and recovery. Sleep deficiency is linked to almost every single chronic health problem out there, including heart disease, dementia for sure, and brain fog is something we see really, really commonly. High blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, obesity, and depression. Almost every chronic health condition, sleep is like a fundamental key to healing because when we rest, we can recover. Sleep is also like 60% of the patients I see in my practice have some issue with sleep. And there's so many ways that sleep can be disrupted in so many ways that we can um, make our sleep better. And maybe you've tried these, but if you haven't tried them because you're just like, oh, I'm just not a good sleeper, here are my like top easy tips for rest and recovery. No screens 2 hours before bed. If you have to work an hour before bed or 2 hours before bed and you can only be off an hour, try and wear some really dark um, blue blocking glasses. Viva Rays are my favorite because they are made with bamboo and they have many different levels. They've got a nighttime one, and like a middle of the day one. It's on our website, bosnerhealth.com. You can take a look at Viva Rays. They're incredible. But if you have to be on the screens, just protect your brain. Try and be bed by 10. Like some of us, I've got teenagers, I might be in bed by 10, they are not in bed by 10, but aim for being in bed by 10 because every hour you get before midnight is quite restorative. And we go through the process of detoxification between about 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. in the morning. So we really want to be in that rest and recovery mode so our body can optimize its ability to detoxify. And detoxification is so important in every chronic health condition. We look at our MS sufferers and autoimmune condition sufferers, Parkinson's, ALS. They usually have some environmental toxicities from the past, so their body needs its optimal detoxification. My autoimmune disease patients usually also have some sort of toxicity My patients who have dementia and brain fog, almost always there's like a mold or some environmental toxicity that no one knows about. And again, we just need to optimize that detoxification time. And when we turn down and we relax, we can start to be in that parasympathetic part of our nervous system, which is where we actually can heal. We cannot heal if we're in that sympathetic, stressed out phase. So if you are dealing with a chronic health condition, sleeping 8 to 10 hours is not a problem. It says 7 to 8 hours is optimal, but I know patients who are recovering from really bad eczema and really bad autoimmune conditions, lupus and dementia, and they need like 9 to 10 hours. That is not a problem. Figure out what feels good for you. Try and sleep in complete darkness. With a bit of a colder room, a little bit cooler helps you get into deep sleep quicker, and no electronics. And we have in our house the red light therapy, the infrared heat, blue blocking glasses. Interestingly enough, there's tons of information on red light therapy and sleep and circadian rhythms. And same with infrared heat to start that detoxification. And we already talked about the blue blocking glasses. So these are super easy. Cold room, really dark, in bed early so you can get into that deep sleep cycle. You get most of your deep sleep in the beginning of the night. So trying to get into sleep early is going to really help you with that deep sleep. What do all these things have in common? Diabetes, anxiety, mood swings, suppressed immunity, hormonal dysregulation, Alzheimer's and dementia, cardiovascular disease, even ADHD. It's sugar. It is one of the most inflammatory modern day consumptions that we have. Long-term high sugar diet can impact your neurotransmitters, brain pathways, and can actually lead to like impaired learning. But sugar is highly addictive and high inflammatory. And we're not talking about fruit sugar. We're talking about processed cane sugar, high fructose corn syrup, rice syrup. And it's just time to kick the sugar habit. It's a really great time of the year um, to really lower the sugar. And if you've been trying to do this for a long time and you just can't manage to do it, start with, first of all, eliminating all of the artificial sweeteners, all the packaged sugary stuff, cookies and things like that in your house. That's the first step. It's so much easier when you don't have it in your house. The second step is make sure you're consuming enough carbohydrates. Make sure you have lots of fruit in there. If it's not fruit season in your part of the world, buy some frozen fruit. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of honey in your tea. There's nothing wrong with a date. And we're not talking about 8 or 9 dates. We're talking about a date. The processed sugar is the stuff that is the most inflammatory, hijacks your nervous system, can create tremendous amounts of anxiety, can create brain fog, and it's highly addictive. They did studies with rats maybe 2 or 3 decades ago. And they had sugar water and they had water with heroin. And what they found were that the rats were most 7 times more likely to go to the sugar water than they were to the heroin laced water, which just shows you it's highly addictive. So it's not your fault. And sugar also feeds the really bad bacteria and fungi in our body, which can create all these chronic health conditions because they release inflammatory particles as they metabolize, like acetaldehydes and lipopolysaccharides, which are really inflammatory and lead to all these chronic health conditions. So sugar is inflammatory, and really once you remove it, a week of not doing it, everything starts to taste a little sweeter. And if you need help, you ask your family to help you. Ask the people you live with, hey, like I'm really trying to kick my sugar habit because it has been one of the biggest kind of hidden inflammatory things out there. Fats were kind of accused for being inflammatory, and I would say seed oils are very inflammatory, those fats. But sugar is highly inflammatory to the body and can create all these chronic health conditions. The power of community is actually now very well documented and researched. They have found that social isolation can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity, depression, even memory issues. They say that, being socially isolated is as inflammatory as smoking, same way as being sedentary is. Um, and and if you don't have a community, there are many community groups, and maybe you live on your own, maybe you don't have family members here, maybe you don't like getting outside. There are online communities. You can get to things that you're interested in. So one of the things I recommend people do, especially my patients who are a little older, who maybe don't have a spouse, who, have a hard time getting out, I said, join a church group, join some sort of club, a reading club. You can even join meetings online where you see a bunch of people because maybe, you haven't gone out in a while and you're shy. But there is so much power for healing in community. And so, one of the things that one of my tips to you is if you haven't been going out and seeing your loved ones or your friends and you haven't been connecting with people, make that one of your priorities this January. Make a priority um, to connect with people because you always feel better afterwards, and only positive people. We don't need to connect with people in our past that you know um, create inflammation. We want positive relationships. We want new relationships that spark new neural pathways and give us a sense of excitement and give us a sense of belonging and purpose. So the power of community is one of the things I recommend too. Is if you've got all your food dialed in and you're sleeping well, but you're lonely, loneliness is just as inflammatory as eating poorly. It can't be underestimated. So that's one of my other tips. So why am I doing this? Why do I try every year to get better and better? I can always do better. For those of you who've been with me for a long time, you know I'm always trying new things. I'm willing to try anything. But these basic steps, I try and do every day. I try and do them every day. I'm not always successful. And they're healthy habits like the coffee in the morning and the drinking lots of fluid and good sleep. I have incorporated those into my diet, and it has kept me resilient through all the stressors I have with my pre-teenagers and teenagers and practice and world and my parents. Um, and you have to find your why. When you're trying to make a health change and you're trying to be healthier this year, you have to ask yourself why. Is it that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired? Is it that you don't want your loved ones to be doing things for you anymore because you're losing function? That's a huge one. Um, is it because you want to travel and you're tired all the time, or you want a promotion and you're feeling like you're not at the place where your brain power is to the place where you can get that promotion even though you want it? So you want to start with these really easy steps and no excuses, full accountability. When you're not sure about doing it, I tell people, like, you're not sure if you can be someone who doesn't eat processed sugars, just pretend you're that person and just don't buy the stuff and eat your fruit and make sure you're having enough fat and protein so you don't crave the sugar. Because as your blood sugar drops up and down, that's when we have the strongest sugar cravings. And when you know your why, and mine is so that I'm present and able to communicate and able to relate to my family, and also model good behavior for them. If you haven't already been to our website, bosnerhealth.com, and taken our 10 days to radical health change, try that now. You can incorporate the simple changes we've done. And if you don't see any significant change, um, join it. It's free. It's free 10 days. Each day you do a different little health change, just like the ones I've shown you. And at the end of a week and a half, like, you've changed your body a little bit. You've done a little bit more for yourself. And you can feel satisfied and feel like you are, progressing on that health journey slowly, one little implemented health habit at a time. And if you've already done all of these things and maybe you need a more personalized guidance, maybe you want to book a metabolic assessment with me. So once we have people, and I speak with people all the time, sometimes they don't know exactly what supplement they should be using, what kind of proportions of fat and protein and carbohydrates based on their goals, if they're an athlete or if they are trying to preserve brain function or they're trying to lose weight. And this metabolic assessment that we do is wonderful at uncovering different organ areas that aren't working well and different deficits that we can address with lifestyle and diet in a very simply easy way. We can identify the strategies to achieve your health goals once we know what they are, and you can get more energy and clear skin and beat those crazy sugar cravings and reduce the inflammation in your body to help you feel lighter, and clear in your mind and be more productive and live a more vital life. So if you have done all these things, you drink and you sleep well. I mean, most people aren't doing all of these things, but if you are doing them and you want to go a little deeper, book a metabolic assessment. You can go to drkristinabosnar.com. The link wasn't working before I got on here, but it should be working now. And you can book that assessment, and we can get together after I read it and we can maybe strategize some simple goals for you to take control of your health and radically shift how you're feeling for this year and moving forward. It was really nice to be here and share these things with you. If you have a loved one or a friend that you know would benefit, please share these tips with them. Do it together with them. And if you know someone who needs more help booking a metabolic assessment, you can send them to this link. I love helping people achieve their health goals, and I'm passionate about you feeling empowered that your body can heal at any time, at any age, with just the right help and direction, and with some uncovering of little Sometimes just little habits that you can add into your daily life can make a tremendous impact. And that's where I'm really passionate about giving you that information. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time on Ask Dr. Kristina. Bye bye.